There are very few decisions that make business owners as nervous as raising their prices. You can be completely sure of your work, know your costs have climbed, and the business needs healthier margins. And yet, the moment you go to change the number, the fear kicks in. What if clients leave? What if people complain? What if my best customers think I'm being greedy? And because that fear feels so real, most owners just delay. I'll do it next quarter. Then it's maybe after this next project. A year goes by and the business is still charging yesterday's prices while paying today's costs. That's where the real danger lives. Underpricing doesn't blow your business up overnight. It's slower and quieter than that. It eats away at your profit, your capacity, your confidence, and eventually the quality of the experience your customers actually get. So picture your most common offer. When did you actually set that price? 6 months ago, a year, two? Now think about what's changed since. You're more experienced, your tools cost more, delivery takes longer, the scope has quietly grown. Here's the real question. If the price stayed flat but the work expanded, who's paying for the difference? Because somebody is, and usually it's you, in thinner margins, longer hours, and the higher you keep delaying. That's why pricing was never about money alone. It shapes your capacity, your delivery, and your ability to serve people well. Take a quick example. A consultant starts with a clean package at £750. One strategy call, one plan, one follow-up email. But over time, the small asks start. Can we squeeze in a quick call? Could you review this before we send it? And because they want to be helpful, they say yes. Each request feels tiny. But 6 months later, that £750 offer has quietly absorbed strategy, support, reviews, and a lot more responsibility. And the price is still £750. They're not charging for the offer they deliver today. They're charging for the one they used to deliver. That's how underpricing sneaks in. It hides inside quick things, and your margins disappear without a sound. So in this video, I want to walk through how to raise your prices without losing your best customers. Not by being aggressive or doubling your rates overnight, but by understanding how customers think about price, protecting your strongest relationships, testing new rates intelligently, and framing the change as a natural evolution rather than a grab for more money. Because the truth is, good customers don't leave just because prices go up. They leave when the increase feels confusing, unjustified, or disconnected from value. A thoughtful increase can actually make your business stronger and filter out the people who were only buying cheap access. We'll break this into three parts: the psychology of price elasticity, the grandfather loop, how you protect loyal clients while testing new pricing safely, and the value framing sequence, how you communicate the change with confidence and respect. Once you start seeing price through the customer's eyes, the fear gets a lot smaller. Let's start with the psychology. Most founders assume everyone looks at price the same way. They don't. Different customers read price differently, depending on what they believe they're buying. And a lot of pricing fear comes from forgetting that. Owners imagine every customer is hyper price sensitive, that the second the number moves, everyone bolts. Some will, but not everyone is buying the same thing emotionally. There are really two broad types of buyer. The first is the commodity buyer. They're hunting for the cheapest acceptable option, and they see what you do as interchangeable. A designer is a designer, a consultant is a consultant, a salon is a salon. They're not buying your judgment or your standard. They're buying the category. And if the category feels interchangeable, price becomes the easiest way to compare. So picture two people looking at your offer. One is asking, can I get this cheaper somewhere else? The other is asking, can I trust this to work? Same offer, same price, completely different psychology. Now think about your own business. Which are you mostly attracting? People who choose you because you're cheap and convenient, or people who trust your quality and the outcome you deliver? If someone wants a cheap logo, they'll compare prices in seconds. But if they want a brand that makes their business look credible to investors, they're thinking about risk, not price. So when you feel that fear, ask yourself honestly, am I scared of losing all my customers or just the commodity buyers? Because those are not the same thing. When you do raise prices, commodity buyers react fast. I can get this cheaper elsewhere. And they're probably right. But that doesn't mean you made the wrong call. It might just mean your pricing is spotting the people who were only sticking around because you were undercharging. The outcome buyer is the other type. They're not chasing the cheapest option. They want the safest, most credible route to the result they're after. They care about trust, certainty, speed, and reducing risk. They're not just asking what it costs. They're asking, can I trust this person? Will it actually solve my problem? Price still matters to them. It's just not the only thing on the scale. This is where elasticity comes in. If a customer sees your offer as a commodity, even a small bump feels like too much. If they see it as a reliable path to something valuable, there's far more room. So the deeper question isn't just, can I raise my price? It's, have I made the value clear enough that the right customer understands why it makes sense? If not, your first job might not be pricing. It might be positioning. Here's a useful bit of mental maths. Imagine a customer has a problem worth £20,000 to them. They've got two options. Option A is £500 but feels risky. Option B is £1,500 but feels reliable. At a glance, A is cheaper. But if A fails, they don't just lose £500. They lose time, an opportunity, and they may have to pay someone else to fix it. So for an outcome buyer, the real question was never what's cheapest. It's what's the safest path to the result. That's why higher pricing makes sense when the cost of failure is high. Your job is to make the value clear enough that they understand what they're really paying for. And here's something a lot of owners miss. Being underpriced doesn't always make you more attractive. Sometimes it makes you look less credible. If a serious client has an important problem and your price is way below the market, they don't think, what a deal. They think, why is this so cheap? Low pricing can quietly signal insecurity, and it attracts the people who want maximum attention for minimum money. So when you raise your prices, you're not just changing a number, you're changing your posture. You're saying, we know what this is worth, and we're not competing to be the cheapest, we're competing to be the most trusted. But that only works if your value is clear. Once you understand the psychology, the next question is how you actually roll the increase out. And this is where most people make their biggest mistake. They treat every customer the same and fire one blanket announcement at everyone. That's not strategy. What you need is segmentation. Before you raise prices across your existing base, you have to understand who's actually in it, because not all clients are equally valuable. Some generate strong profit and pay on time. Some bring revenue but create enormous operational drag. Some are loyal, some are only there because you were cheap. A few should be protected, a few upgraded, and honestly, a few should probably be allowed to leave. That sounds blunt, but a healthy business can't be built on keeping every customer at all costs. The goal is keeping the right ones. So, sort a few in your head. Client one pays on time, respects your process, is profitable, and is a pleasure to work with. That client goes in the protect pile. You communicate carefully and give notice. Client two is fine. Not amazing, not terrible, pays but sometimes needs a reminder. That's a standard transition client who needs clear communication and options. Then there's client three, who creates constant stress, pushes scope, pays late, negotiates everything, needs the most support, and delivers the thinnest margin. That client may not need protecting at all. They may need to move up to the new standard or be allowed to exit. And that's the thing. When founders say, I'm scared of losing clients. They picture losing the best ones, but the clients who leave after an increase are often the ones making the business hardest to run. So sort your base, protect, transition, upgrade, or release. That single exercise makes the whole thing far less frightening. Now, the safest way to raise prices is usually not to start with your legacy clients. Start with new ones, because new people don't have an old price anchored in their heads. They're judging your offer as it is today, not comparing it to what they used to pay. So update your public pricing, proposals, and rate cards for new clients first, then watch. Do serious buyers still say yes? Are better fit clients coming through? That data gives you confidence, because a lot of pricing fear isn't about the market. It's that the founder doesn't believe the new price yet. Sell it to a few new clients and you stop thinking, will anyone pay this? And start thinking, this is just the standard now. Quick maths. Say you've got 10 clients paying £1,000 each. That's £10,000. You raise the price to £1,300 and 2 clients leave. Now you've got 8 at £1,300, which is £10,400. Slightly more from fewer people, and that's before the rest of the upside. Less delivery pressure, fewer meetings, more capacity for the clients who stayed. Losing some clients doesn't automatically mean losing money. So you can't judge pricing emotionally. You have to look at the maths. And sometimes the maths says you don't need everyone to stay, just enough of the right people at a healthier rate. Once the new price is proven with new clients, you turn to your existing ones, and this is where grandfathering comes in. It just means giving loyal customers a temporary, protected rate before they move to the new pricing. It shows respect and keeps your most loyal people from feeling punished for being early. You might say, our standard rate for new clients has moved to £2,000 a month. Because you've been with us a long time, we're keeping your current rate for the next 90 days, and after that, your account moves to the new tier. That lands completely differently from your prices going up next month. The first gives context and runway. The second feels like an ambush. You're not apologizing for the increase, you're respecting the relationship. And not everyone needs the same transition. Your best clients get a personal conversation and a longer window. Your low margin clients get a choice. Move to the new rate and keep the full service, or shift to a lighter package with reduced scope, because not every objection should be answered with a discount. Sometimes the right response to budget pressure isn't lowering your price, it's lowering the scope. The moment you discount just because someone pushed back, you teach them the price was never real. The price can stay firm. The scope can flex. Before you send any increased communication, there's one more step. Look at the offer itself. One of the best ways to make a price increase feel natural is to pair it with a genuine value upgrade. But that does not mean doubling your workload. If you bolt on a pile of manual labor, you lift revenue and destroy your margins at the same time. The goal is to make the offer feel more valuable in a way that's efficient for you and meaningful for the client. This is where asymmetric value comes in, something that costs you relatively little to deliver but carries high perceived value for the customer. A better onboarding flow, a monthly summary, a faster response window, a quarterly review call. These lift perceived value without making you work twice as hard. So think about one place your customers regularly feel friction. Maybe they're confused right after buying, or they ask the same questions over and over. Now ask, what's one small upgrade that would make that exact moment feel better? If they're confused after purchase, a clear welcome video could create a lot of value. And it doesn't need to be custom each time. If people ask the same things repeatedly, a resource library makes them feel guided while quietly cutting your workload. That's asymmetric value. Small operational cost, high customer value. And it matters because an increase is far easier to accept when the customer can see the experience getting better. The key is to choose upgrades that solve real friction. Don't add things just to make the package look bigger. More isn't better. Better is better. Now, the conversation isn't we're charging more. It's we've upgraded how we deliver this. and the new pricing reflects the new standard. Far stronger frame, and this leads to one rule you can't break. Never make your internal problems the headline reason for the increase. Of course, your costs matter: rent, software, team. But your customers aren't buying your cost structure. They're buying their outcome. If you tell them our rent went up and our team costs more, a lot of them will quietly think that's not my problem, and they're not entirely wrong. So frame the increase around continued quality, improved delivery, stronger support. Instead of we're raising prices because our costs went up, you say we've upgraded the experience to include faster turnaround and clearer reporting. And as part of this new standard, our pricing is moving to one version asks the customer to pay for your pressure. The other invites them into a better standard. So here's a quick exercise. Take the internal reason for your increase and translate it into customer value. My costs have gone up becomes to maintain the quality and support our clients rely on, we're updating our pricing. I'm too busy at this rate becomes to protect delivery standards and create more focused capacity for each client. We're moving to a more structured model. You're not lying or hiding anything. You're translating the business reason into the customer outcome. That's how you communicate like a confident business instead of a stressed founder. Now, the actual message, it needs to be clear, calm, confident, and respectful. Not defensive, not apologetic, and definitely not written like you're asking permission. If you sound unsure, the customer feels unsure. If you apologize over and over, they start to read the increase as something unfair. You can be warm without being timid and firm without being rude. A strong message usually has 5 parts. Acknowledge the relationship. We've really valued working with you this past year. Connect the change to the standard of service. To keep delivering the support our clients rely on, we're updating our structure and pricing. State the new price and date plainly. Don't hide the number. Explain the transition. Because you're an existing client, your current rate stays in place for the next 90 days. And give a clear next step. You don't need to do anything to continue. If you'd like to talk through which option fits, we can grab a quick call this week. Direct and easy to act on. Now let's role play the scary part. The client replies, "That's outside our budget." Most founders panic. They're leaving, I should discount. Slow down. A budget objection isn't always a rejection. Often it's just a conversation about fit. The weak response is, "Sorry, we can probably keep it the same." It sounds kind, but it quietly wrecks your posture. The stronger response, "I completely understand. We can continue with the updated package at the new rate or move you to a lighter version with reduced scope so it stays closer to your budget." That's calm, it gives options, and it protects the relationship and the business at the same time. The one thing you must not do is collapse your price the second someone resists. Because if you hand over the same access and support at a lower rate just because someone pushed, you have trained your customers to negotiate against your margins. And that doesn't last. Some clients may leave, and that doesn't automatically mean the increase failed. If you lose a few low margin, high friction clients, the business often gets healthier. You earn the same or more from fewer people, free up capacity, and make room for better fit customers. So don't measure a price increase only by whether everyone stayed. Measure it by the health of the business afterward, your margin, your capacity, your ability to reinvest. A price increase isn't just a revenue event, it's a business design decision. And sometimes better design means letting go of customers who no longer fit. That's not failure, that's maturity. So before we close, run one final audit. Has the scope grown since you set this price? Are your margins too thin? Are you attracting people who want the most support for the least money? And if someone genuinely can't afford the new rate, could you reduce the scope instead of the price? If you said yes to even a few of those, your business probably needs a pricing review. That doesn't mean doubling everything tomorrow. It means you stop pretending the old price is still accurate when the business has changed, because pricing should reflect your current value, workload, and cost of delivery, not the version of you from 2 years ago. So this week, Look at your pricing honestly. Where are you undercharging? Where has the scope grown while the price stood still? Where are you holding an old price simply because you're afraid of a conversation? Pick one offer or one segment to adjust. You don't have to change everything at once, but you do have to stop avoiding the maths because the numbers won't fix themselves. So raise your prices with respect, with clarity, with value, with a transition plan, but raise them because a business priced too low can't serve anyone well for long. Not the owner, not the team, and eventually not the customers either. If this helped you rethink your pricing, start with a simple price audit this week. Look at your most popular offer and ask whether the price still reflects the value, the workload, and the standard of delivery. Subscribe for more practical breakdowns on strategy, pricing, positioning, and sustainable growth. Like this video if it gave you clarity, and drop a comment with the percentage increase you know your business needs to make this quarter, because protecting your margins isn't optional. It's what gives your business the strength to keep delivering at the level your best customers deserve. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next breakdown. Check the links in the description below. Hit that subscribe button if this was helpful, and honestly, go reclaim your time. I will see you in the next video.